So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us in an interview with entrepreneurs and that. And today we're chatting to Kate Zarvis. Zarvis. I've got to pronounce that right. She's the founder and CEO of Manicure, but we're chatting about her journey to how she actually started a company and where she actually came from and all the trials and tribulations to build this really good salon brand, right? And you're kind of expanding on that too. Hey, Kate. So Kate, welcome. It's nice to chat to you. I've actually been looking forward to this chat because I've had quite a few people ask me that they're in the salon industry, right? Or in the beauty industry rather. And, they've always got these questions about salons, et cetera, et cetera. So I was actually quite excited to bring you on and actually listen to your journey, because I think everyone thinks that their journey is so unique, and it's actually, it's not really. I think everyone kind of goes through those trials and tribulations and that. So, let's start off first. Kate, tell us about what is Manicure?
So Manicure is a full-service nail salon located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We've been open for 4.5 years, and we specialize in hand-painted nail art, which is really, really fun. So you can really bring in any photo of anything that you want, and we'll paint it on your fingernails. So that's kind of how we grew our following to really separate ourselves from every other nail salon out there.
Yeah, I must say I've been looking at the photos of the stuff that you've done, and I must say that's quite impressive. Not that I would use them, but but I'm pretty sure my daughter would bug me for that as well. But let's take a few steps back. Where did you come from? Basically, you were quite a naughty child, right? Am I being nice there, right?
Yeah.
Take us from that and how you take us through your whole journey. I've heard your story before, but I think it's so relevant to so many people out there. Take us through that.
Yeah. I grew up in a broken home, alcoholic family, and they're divorced at a very young age. And I grew up with this mentality that it was kind of my way or the highway. And looking back as a child, that didn't really work for me. But as an entrepreneur, to be honest, it does work in my favor. As a child, whenever I was in high school, I had this attitude that, I wanted to do things my way. I felt like I was a little bit too mature to be in high school. Ended up hanging out with the wrong crowds, got a little bit too tied up in drugs and alcohol, and I got kicked out of high school my senior year of high school.
Wow.
Which was, a big eye-opener to both me and my family. So then I graduated from high school. I was in night school, so I only went to high school in the evenings for about 3 hours. Which isn't where you want to be. And
no, I couldn't picture myself having the patience for that, or wanting to do that when you're. How old are you at that time? About what, 17?
I was 17. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And my dad, for a living, he delivers Thomas's bagels. So he would put bread in the grocery stores every morning. And he had about a 4:30 a.m. wake up, and he worked until about noon or 1. And he made me go with him every single day to put bread on.
Oh, my word. So you got punished twice. Okay.
Yeah. So, now that you're kicked out of high school, you're not going to sleep in until 3 o'clock when you have to go to school. You're going to come to work with me. And it was the worst. 17-year-old girl, the last thing I want to be doing is slanging bread on the shelves at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
So, that definitely helped me get my act together. I was pretty much on lockdown, no cell phone, no car, trying to handle my problems with addiction, and just, my family kind of came back and tried to get me on the right track. And that's whenever I said I wanted to go to beauty school. And they were like, okay. Oh, no.
Oh, really? Didn't they approve?
They did not approve of beauty school. Granted, my job, whenever I was 16, I started shampooing in a beauty salon. So that's whenever I was really introduced to the hair salons. And I did that up until I got kicked out of high school, pretty much. Okay. But so they knew that I had a love for the hair industry. And, it was something that really motivated me, but my dad didn't think it was a good idea for me to go that route. Verbatim, he said that I needed to go to college to be an educated person, which is pretty much just rude.
Oh my word. Okay.
But to be honest with you, I think that the beauty industry does kind of get looked down upon a lot, especially whenever you are a young
I think
girl or boy trying to, in that time, everyone's pushing college. And whenever you say that
yes.
you don't want to go to university, you want to go to a trade school, a lot of people have their judgments.
That's so true. And I mean, I hear that a lot from a lot of my mates. They kind of like force their kids, like, oh, you got to go to college, you got to go to university, or whatever the case is. And, I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, I went, I dropped out of that because I was studying stuff I had absolutely no interest in doing. And even with my daughter now, I mean, she would go to varsity in about a year and a half. She's off. She wants to go. Well, she can go to varsity. I've said to her, if you want to go, go. If you don't want to go, that's cool too. I'd rather she go travel for 2 years, find out what she wants to do before she actually does it. So, I mean, so you didn't go to college. What happened next? What did you do?
So I did go to college for 3 months and then I dropped out.
Oh, that sounds like my story.
So now we know that dropping out is kind of my MO. But yeah, whenever I decided to drop out of college, that was really whenever my family was like, this girl's a lost cause. This girl's just, we are so worried for her life. But I decided to go to beauty school and pursue that. So I went to beauty school for 9 months long. It was, whenever you study, you can go for everything like hair, skin, and nails, or you could actually break that up into a smaller, like shorter education. So you can just go get certified in nails for about 3 months or skincare for about 3 months. But I decided to go for everything. I thought it was best because I knew that at the time, like I saw myself owning salons at some point in my life. So I graduated from beauty school 9 or 10 months after that. And I was, when I graduated, I was probably about 19 or 20. And that's whenever I started my career. So the beauty industry, you start your career so young, which is, a good thing and it can be a bad thing. So fast forward to starting my career at 20, I'm 28 now. So I've been focusing on my craft for the past almost 9 years. Now I'm an owner, I'm a boss, and I have 15 plus employees. But whenever you put a label on it, it's a little bit difficult to like have that title and whenever you're under 30.
Yeah, I think 100%. But I mean, proud of you. Well done. Definitely. But take us, before you started your own company, you went and worked for hair salon. Am I right?
Yes, I worked for a hair salon because I thought that I wanted to do hair.
Yeah, you got to tell us that story because when you told me I was literally in stitches. You got to share this.
So I was very confident in beauty school, focusing on hair. And, I hear this about college as well. You don't learn what you're going to do whenever you're in school. So whenever I went I was interviewing at a lot of salons, high-end salons in the city of Pittsburgh, where they had a good clientele. And a lot of the training processes were about a year long and you'd be making minimum wage. But here comes my attitude of like, I know how to do it. I'm ready now. So I found a location that would hire me. And in 3 months, I would be on the floor as a hairstylist, getting commission. I wouldn't be having to assist. And it turns out that was the deal because no one taught me how to cut hair at that salon or, taught me their processes or taught me their ways. So fast forward 3 months, it was time for me to start cutting clients' hair. And I remember not knowing what to do. I was so scared if I got a client. I told one guy that I was just going to stop where I was because if I go any further, he's not going to have any more hair left. So I was like, I'm so scared to do this. I'm going to stop before I mess this up. So honestly, I'll never forget that moment because that was the moment when I was horrified and I was like, I'm never doing hair again. Talk about discouraging.
What did he say though? I mean, come on, I gotta ask her. What did he actually say?
He was definitely frustrated with me. He ended up saying thanks, like, hey, thanks, I appreciate that. I'm gonna head out. And the front desk took it from there, but it was better than me messing up the entire haircut and pretending like everything was okay. I just told him like straight up, I can't even pretend like I know what I'm doing at this point. I don't know what I'm
doing. That's brilliant. I love the honesty though. I mean, most people would have just tried to wing it, you know. So that's brilliant. Okay, and so then, I mean, that was kind of like a turning point for you, wasn't it?
Yes, it was a turning point, and I approached my boss. And, she obviously saw that this was happening. And that's whenever I would approach her, I was like, I don't want to do hair anymore. I don't feel confident. And she was a nail stylist at the salon. Hence why she couldn't train me how to do hair. And she didn't have any of our other stylists encouraged to train me on how to do hair either, but she did nails. So she said, do you want to do nails? I was like, I'll give it a shot. She put me through this super intense training program. I was getting graded. I had packets. I was like having to bring in a certain amount of people per week to practice on. And then I was giving her services like every week or every 2 weeks. And she would let me know whenever I could kind of like graduate to the next level. And I'm thinking, if she only taught me how to cut hair like this, I would be a fantastic hairstylist.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it kind of identified a gap over there in the market.
Right. So that's where I learned that educating your employees is key if you want to have a pretty standard salon. And that's where I also learned like confidence is key in this industry. So that's whenever I decided to do nails and specialize in nails.
When did you actually decide to start your own salon?
So
what was that moment there where you said, okay, well, I'm quitting now, I'm doing it. I'm doing my own salon. What was that moment?
So I was the position that I was in whenever I learned to do nails, I was about 20. And I pursued nails there for about probably between 6 months to a year. And the clientele there was a little bit older than I would want. I was seeing a lot of new trends on the internet with nail designs and nail colors, and the clientele that was coming to the salon was really getting like old school styles. So yes. I was looking for, now that I felt confident in my craft, I was like looking to experiment, and that wasn't the salon that was going to help me do that. So I found and I was 20 years old and I wanted to be cool and around like a bunch of young girls.
Oh, of course. Yes. At that age, definitely. When you're older, you don't want to.
The clientele was like 70 and they were coming in and every week and getting nail polish. So it was just kind of boring. So I found a young, trendier salon in the area that I went to work for. And me and the owner, we ended up being pretty good friends. We were working outside in her house actually, and she had started this like amazing business just doing nails in her house, and all of her styles were extremely trendy, like top of the line, really cool. And she taught me a lot about nail design and nail art. So I definitely wanted to be beside her, working next to her and seeing like where she was going to grow. We had a ton in common. And she, within about 2 years of me working next to her in her house, she opened up a salon that I started managing for her. And I thought that I was going to be there for the long haul. And then, we had to have some serious conversations, and I decided to, at that point, I was in a point in my career where I could continue to be an employee, but I've hit my ceiling. So as a manager, I'd hit my ceiling. There wasn't any more room to grow. So I had to make the hard decision to leave a situation that I was comfortable at, but, pursue my dream of having more responsibility and creating a salon.
So let's talk about you, so starting your business. So one of the questions now, what we've actually done in anticipation for a lot of our interviews is we sent out like a survey to everyone. And we got a whole lot of responses in terms of questions that they want to know from the people that we're going to interview. So one of the questions actually talking about starting out is, how did you start? How did you get started and what did that cost you? So in other words, did you go and get a nice big building and, throw in a couple of $100,000, or did you start from your garage, with $100? How did you do it? Because there tends tends to be this misconception when someone looks at someone like yourself, it's, you know, a successful salon owner, you know, they say, oh man, she had it all, you know, she started up there, you know, which isn't always necessarily the case. So tell us, how did you do it? How did you get started?
Yeah, I would love to share. I started by, well, I was living with my friend whose fiance just went to the military. So luckily I was fortunate enough to live with my friend rent free because I didn't have
that helps. That helps a lot.
She knew my situation, and granted, at the time I was 24 years old, so I didn't have a lot of like baggage with me, right? So I was able to kind of just live with a friend for rent free, which helped me get my funds up, but I only started the salon with a few $1,000s. The way that I got the rest of the funds was I went to the SBA, and there's two colleges here in Pittsburgh. There's Pitt University and there's Chatham's Women's Entrepreneurship Program. They both have free resources through the SBA, which is the Small Business Association, to help young entrepreneurs prepare for opening in their first business. I learned that in order to open up my first business, I would need a loan. And in order to get a loan, I would need a business plan, which was about like anywhere from 20 to 45 pages, and a projection sheet. So a projection sheet is a Excel sheet that is telling the bank how you are going to grow financially over the next 3 years. So they want to know like how much money you're going to bring in, and are you going to have employees? And if you do, how much money are they going to bring in? So Pitt's entrepreneurship program and Chatham's Women's Center helped me design those. I would do the homework, and then I would bring it back to them, where they really just had business students, college students working with me to help me create those things. So once I had those created, which took probably 6 to 8 months, and I went to 6 different banks, and got turned down. And then the SBA was the one who decided to lend me a loan. So I got a micro loan for $25,000 at about 6%. And I just paid it off this year.
You are so fortunate. I mean, I think it's one of the benefits. A lot of the people that will be watching the replay on this are mostly from Europe, Australia. So, you know, I've got about 14,000 followers and that on email and that, but majority of them are kind of in those areas, and they'll come and watch this afterwards. And you know that to get a loan on a new business, and if you look at something like Africa as an example, and a lot of places in Europe, you can't get it if it's a new business. You need to have owned 2 or 3 businesses beforehand as proof that you can do it before you could get a loan for another startup. So I think that's an awesome initiative that you actually had access to there at the end of the day to, you know, get you started and get you going. But I also think that there are a lot of people underestimate. So I've got 2 questions here. Do you think that a lot of people underestimate how much goes into the planning stage of their business? Because I mean, most people are like, oh, I'm going to quickly Google this, you know, I'm going to spend a day or 2 Googling on, you know, my planning and stuff, and then I'm going to, you know, submit it. And, you know, that's my business plan.
100%. Yeah, I was fortunate to have like local colleges that were willing to help me out and have programs like this that help me understand, you know, what goes into a business plan. I mean, Google is really helpful, to be honest, but yeah, I think that it's extremely underestimated what it takes to open a business.
And then in terms of expectations, because that's going to be one of the questions I was going to ask later on, but do you think, I mean, you're doing this forecasting now, basically, that you're providing to the bank over the next 3 years. How realistic was your forecast? Yeah, no, because as entrepreneurs, we're always like, man, this is $1 million idea. Give me 12 months. No problem. But it's not always the case.
Right. So that's, you know, the projection was best case scenario. Absolute best case scenario. And to be honest, it's a great tool to have, whether it works or it doesn't work, because once you have that running, you can edit the numbers and to be real, and then you can kind of make your projections in real time. So
yes,
I thought that I would have a lot more employees than I do, but the lifetime of my employees is less than I expected. So my employees will last for about 3 years and then go do their own thing.
Okay, that's amazing. So let's look at one of the other questions that we have here is in terms of pivoting, right? So now obviously you've pivoted in your career, and that, I mean, you went from hair to nails, and then you've decided to go and start your own business. Did you have to go and pivot within your own business in Manicure at all? Did you have to change direction at all in Manicure?
Yeah. So, I mean, I started as a nail technician when I opened my business. I was doing and performing nails 5 days a week. So it's very difficult whenever you open a business as a technician. You open a business and all of a sudden you're not just a technician anymore. Now you're the boss, you're the CEO, you wear all of the hats. So I think one of my biggest struggles in the first year was understanding what my job description was and, my title, because I was really good at doing nails, but I wasn't really good at managing people or owning a business or doing marketing, right? So it took about 1.5 years to find that learning curve and start being a driven CEO and owner. And, 4 years later, I finally been able to step back from performing nails and really just running the business. COVID was also a huge pivot. We were shut down for 3 months and all of my employees didn't have a job at the time. That's whenever I pivoted to an online business. So I needed to create a way for my nail stylist to maintain a relationship with their clientele. One of my biggest fears was losing our clientele. Maybe they realized that, hey, I don't really mind my fingers without them painted, or that's an expense that I can really write off. Or
so I didn't need it for 3 months or 6 months or whatever the case is. Why do I need it now?
So I needed to figure a way for them to remember that they needed these nails. So I created a press-on business. So what we did was we allowed anyone, mainly our clients, because it was local, our clients were able to hop online, fill out a form, and they were able to completely design their own set of press-on nails that would be designed by a technician of their choice. And then my technician would get notified. She would have a phone conversation with them, which would bring back that relationship that they had. And then my employee would go into the salon by themselves, so we weren't all around each other, and design the nails, which took about an hour or an hour and a half. And we would sell them for anywhere from $60 to $120.
That is amazing. I mean, that is such a good idea. I think there's a lot of salons that wish they had actually thought of that, because I mean, it's so simple actually, but I mean, the value in terms of to your existing clients, I mean, you've definitely kept your clients by doing something like that, which kind of answers, because one of my questions was now during COVID is how do you meaningfully connect to your customers? How did you maintain that relationship? And I think you've kind of answered that in a way.
Yeah, the service, I mean, it's extremely difficult in a service industry to connect with your clients whenever you're not serving them. And the way we served them, was face to face. So we had a ton of support from clients, and we also had a ton of support from people who maybe had a better relationship with a different nail salon, but their nail salon wasn't offering that. So they supported us during that time. And they said, hey, we go to a local salon. You probably won't see me, whenever we reopen, but I'm happy to support you now.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, I know I might have mentioned this to you, but I actually owned salons as well. As an investor, and in all fairness, as an investor in that, though I found myself kind of having to jump in and manage the business, which is something I definitely didn't want to do. Now, obviously, my experience with the salons was not a good one. Maybe it's because I don't come from the beauty industry. I mean, look at me, I don't have much hair to cut. All of that kind of stuff. Let's talk about managing staff, because I think that was one of my biggest frustrations with owning, salons is how do you deal with managing staff? Because let's face it, I mean, people like yourself or the staff that you have in that are very different personalities to people that you may be dealing with in, e-commerce or, in a different kind of industry. How do you deal with that? How did you manage your staff?
Yeah, I mean, this is a people industry. So, managing people is extremely crucial in this industry. Whenever I started the salon, my biggest problems were my hiring process, I actually didn't have a hiring process. I hired almost like anyone who I felt a good vibe with on the interview.
I've done that too.
The interview wasn't structured. It was kind of just based on how I was feeling and if I, found a good connection with them at the time. Well, that didn't work out. I found that I had no culture in my staff, and I found like there was a lot of bad eggs that were leading the pack whenever that was happening. So I realized the first step to managing your staff is hiring the right staff. And how do you hire the right staff? You need to ask the right questions, and you need to have a 2 to 3 step interview process. So it's more than just a coffee date. You need to make sure that they show up 2 or 3 times to the interview, because if they're not going to show up 2 or 3 times, they're not going to show up for work, or they're not going to show up for their career. So that was a really good game changer, and not feeling so desperate whenever I'm hiring anymore. I really hire for my culture and for the salon. So that's a great step. And I think the rest, it comes down to having literally all of your processes in place. So everything needs to be written down, how you run things, how the salon runs, what you say, verbiage. Once that is in place, you'll notice that people just start catching on without even having to tell them. At this point, anyone can walk into my salon. My manager can be at the front. My receptionist can be at the front, or, my newest nail technician could be at the front desk, and she'll automatically say the same words that my manager and my receptionist say, because everything is the same. And I think that's very crucial whenever you're owning a business, is if there aren't any gaps, then you're not going to see, you're not going to see any red flags.
Okay, definitely. Now, how did you deal with staff turnover? In other words, they don't stay. Staff in the salon industry never stay very long, right? So how did you deal with that within your business?
Yeah, it's so tough. That is such a tough question. There's really no answer on how to stop it, but like you said, how do I deal with it?
Yes.
I allow everyone who wants to leave my salon to leave on a good note. I support everyone who comes to my salon, and I also support everyone who leaves my salon, whether it's to open a salon of their own, I support them, or if it's to go work for someone else, that's totally fine too. I think the best thing that you can do as a business owner is to understand that you have done everything you can to give that person a great opportunity. And my past 3 to 5 people who have left with giving me a hug, writing me the sweetest letter, and telling me that they're sad that they're leaving. So that makes me feel good and blessed, like I'm doing the right thing.
That means you've done something right. Mm-hmm. So Kate, you don't have a partner in your business in Manicure.
I have a partner not for Manicure, but I do have another salon. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for the spa, right? Because you also have the spa and that. So let's talk about partnerships for a second. How do you find, what's your view on partnerships in having a partner on board? Pros and cons.
It's been interesting. A lot of aspects of having a partner make the business easier. So you have 2 is better than 1. You have 2 people doing, the same thing that 1 person would be doing. So that's awesome. You also have 2 different points of views, which can be a blessing and can be a curse. But I think that my biggest thing was whenever I chose my partner, we had a good communication on what our expectations were and what we believed our roles were going to be. And as long as those match up, which they did at first, her roles were to be in the salon and managing and still performing services. And I had all of the expectations to be not in the salon at all, and to be just on the back end running the business side and kind of coaching her to get to where I am now with Manicure. And communication is absolutely key. This is like a marriage.
Definitely. Definitely. So, in terms of what would you say is probably the biggest challenge or rather not challenge, is what is the way that you would actually deal with conflict with a partner? So I think that comes up quite a lot. And it was one of the questions is, how do you deal with conflict, with your partner? And that's actually from someone that's in the salon industry. So what would your answer be?
Yeah, we've had our conflicts, and this has been used before. So whenever we do have conflicts, we have a third party who is a mediator that we chose whenever we opened the business, and we know to call that person, and she's our mediator whenever we can't talk to each other because we both think we're right.
Of course.
So it turned into like maybe 2 1-hour phone calls between the three of us, and then the mediator was also having a phone call, with my partner and then with me to try to find some middle ground.
Okay, but it's always worked out at the end of the day.
It has, yes. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Now I'm going to take a step back. So when you opened up your salons, your very first salon Manicure, how did you get your first client? Where did that come from? Because that's always like one of the questions. One of the questions that I got was, you're starting off. Let me read this properly. So I'm starting off my own. I want to start off my own company, but I'm scared of where I'm going to get my very first customer from. How do we go about that?
Okay. So
forget how you go about that. I mean, that would be marketing, but right. Where did you get yours from?
All of my clients were from Instagram. So I'm fortunate to have in the salon industry, I'm performing a manicures and I'm drawing like really pretty designs on them. So a picture is worth, a million words. So I really started getting a ton of clientele from Instagram and using hashtags of where I was locally because I wanted people to come to me. I didn't care if people in Florida or California were following my Instagram because they can't be clients. I wanted to make sure that Pittsburgh and that local area was knowing where I was. So I started tagging Pittsburgh Nails, Pittsburgh Salon, and stuff like that on social media. And then I gave a lot of things away for free. If you brought a friend, I would hook your friend up. I'm in a small part of the city. So I would go to local restaurants and say, like, if you guys want your nails done, I just opened up a spot down the street. Here's a coupon. Here's a little gift card. Come support me and vice versa. So
you went and created quite a lot of awareness and branding, right in the beginning, basically. Yeah. So, which brings it on to the next question is what kind of marketing did you do? So you've kind of answered that question, from that perspective, your awareness and branding and that. Do you do paid advertising at all?
The only paid advertising I do is I spend about $50 to $100 a month on Instagram and Facebook ads.
Oh, that's like nothing. Hey? So, you don't really need it at all. That's amazing. Because most people are spending, tens of thousands of dollars, to try and get, the turnover that you're doing at the end of the day.
So, and it's funny because I noticed the most amount of social media followers whenever I partner with a local influencer. That was really helpful. So, I comped her manicures at my spot for her to post on her following of 10,000, 20,000 people that she gets her nails done at my spot. So we created a small deal. And then doing giveaways is really helpful too. So giving away a manicure and a pedicure for you and your friend or just you. In order to enter the giveaway, you have to tag my salon. You have to post on your story. So that was really helpful it's free marketing and it gets the word out.
Oh, that's awesome. I think it's a lesson that a lot of salon owners can take. I think they're too scared to give away those free services, or free products and stuff. When actually, it's going to cost you a lot less than going to go and pay Facebook, I'm going to pay Facebook $100 to go and do this marketing. Well, you could have spent $10 or $50 on a service, that you could have given away for free or half that. Why didn't you go do that? So, your salon's successful. You've opened up a spa on there. But you've also gone and created a course, funny enough, for salon owners. Now, I loved that. When I read it and I went through it, I was like, this is freaking amazing. I think it can really offer so much benefit. Tell us about this course. And more importantly, why did you go and decide to go and create this course in that? Because you're coming from a successful salon, you've now opened up a spa in that, and now suddenly you're creating an online course. What the hell? Why? That's my question. Why?
I think that what happened was I watched an employee of mine who I still adore. she's such a rock star. And I was sad to see her go open up her own spot, but I was so proud of her because I know she was, and she is going to be so successful. I felt in that moment like I wish I could tell her everything I know. I want to tell her, she's such a badass, like she's gonna kill it. But at the end of the day, I mean, she is my competition, and do I just call her up and tell her everything I know? So that's whenever I said I would really just love to help salon owners, get to where I am, or not go through all of the headaches that I went through and hardships that I went through whenever when I started opening up my businesses. So I'm on, before I wanted to open up my salons, I really wanted to create like a really comfortable spot for employees to be, and for them to feel comfortable in their salon, feel like they were respected and heard. And I feel like I've created that. So now my next step is, how can I help the salon owners create that community?
Okay.
And I guess that's with online courses. So it's been about 3 months since I've been preparing and building this online course, and it is a whirlwind. There has been so many tears. Let me just tell you that.
I've been through that. I created my first online courses just over 2 years ago. Oh my word. It's not an easy exercise. When are you planning on launching this course? When does your course launch?
So my course should be ready in about a month.
In about a month's time. Okay. For those that are listening and stuff, for those that are interested in the courses, please go ahead, go look at, if you go look at Kate's profile in the membership area, you'll find links to all of following, Instagram, Facebook, etc. But you'll also get links to her website and stuff as well. Let's take a step back and we go on to personal impact. What is that one thing that, what is that one thing that you needed to change within yourself to get where you are today? Consider where you came from, naughty little shit, to basically, very successful salon owner. What did you have to change with you? What's that one thing that gave you the success that you've got today?
Let's see. That's such a loaded question.
I know, right? I'm not prepared with all that.
You're not preparing for that one. I think the biggest thing that personally changed in me and for me in the past 4.5 years, from going from employee to entrepreneur, is understanding my purpose and that why I'm here and why I do things. So whenever you believe,
why.
Yes, whenever your why is not followed by a dollar sign or a paycheck, it's actually followed by creating community, helping, helping others. I promise you, everything starts to come together. And
that is so true. That is so true. And every person that I've asked this question to over the last 2 weeks, their why, it's always, the answer is to find out their why. And their why is bigger than the money. It's about the rest, how they serve everyone else. And everyone that's been successful that I've interviewed have answered basically the same kind of answer. Were you guys talking?
We've been texting.
Comparing answers. But I agree with you 100%. I think when my life also turned around quite a lot in terms of my businesses was when my why became bigger than the dollar signs, at the end of the day. It was, well, why am I doing this? Because I want to help these people. I want to do this. I want to do that. It's not about the money anymore. It's, it's about the impact and the change. It's being authentically you at the end of the day, I think,
100%.
So, let's talk about some of the failures and setbacks, because, a person looks at your story and says, okay, well, she started off really hard, school dropout, worked hard, delivering bread all the way up to hairdresser, messing that up, starting nail technician, building her own salon, nail salons and stuff, and then a spa, etc. It just looks like an upward spiral, right? But that's not necessarily the case.
No, it goes up, and what goes up must come down.
Exactly. So I want you to kind of share some of those setbacks and some of those failures that you've had on that journey that with the rest of the people.
Yeah. So
let's take your biggest ones.
Right. So I opened the salon. I'm 24 at the time. And according to everyone who's probably watching on, on social media, I probably looked like I had all of my ducks in a row and like I knew what I was doing, but I had no processes in place. I opened up my salon with 2 employees. I didn't train either of them because I didn't expect them to be busy. So turns out they were busy and they were messing up nails left and right. So I was getting complaints, text messages, emails saying my nails are jacked. Like these don't even look good. These look like crap. So lesson 1, you need to train your employees, which I learned the hard way. Lesson 2, I did not know how to use my credit card system. I charged this chick like 4 times and that was bad. I mean, I didn't have a receptionist either. I felt like we could just handle it. And turns out we couldn't handle it because I was busy doing nails. My employees were also busy doing services, but I counted on them to do their services and then check people out, which in turn that can work if you train them properly and you give them the allotted time. But I had this like idea in my head that things would just work out. And I kind of was scared to delegate because I didn't want anyone to think I was like mean or like a bad boss or, telling everyone what to do. Turns out that you have to delegate and give people specific duties for them to, do their job right. So the salon was very chaotic at first. And it goes into why I want to teach people how to, reduce chaos in your salon, because that's how I ran mine at first. I ran it with no processes, no systems. My first manager that I hired, I gave her the title of a manager without giving her like proper management duties.
You're just following your gut. I like her. We had a beer together. God.
And then I would find myself getting upset that she wasn't doing what I expected. Meanwhile, there were no expectations in writing. And I think that happens so much. If there's not clear communication on what the person's supposed to be doing, you can't get upset why they're not doing it. So yeah, for the first year, my business was pretty chaotic. The end of my first year, I realized that manager was stealing money from me. So it was the holiday season. I was like $1,000 short of cash. That was also a wake-up call. And, I felt very defeated and discouraged as well because I had trust in someone. But to be honest, if I would have had, the right systems in place, then I would have known where my money is.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, should I keep going?
Keep going. So let's talk about, you took the step of from working in your business, you were one of the nail technicians as well, working with the rest of your staff, etc. You were hands-on to saying, okay, I'm not going to work in my business anymore. I'm going to work on my business. And you step completely away from that and you're kind of like saying, okay, now you're managing, you're overseeing the business and you're managing the strategy in that. How beneficial has that been in terms of your business and the growth of your business? Would you say that would make a massive impact at the end of the day?
It's been huge. And it was the scariest thing I've ever had to decide to do. I was so scared of taking. And granted, I went from doing nails 5 days a week to 4 to 3 to 2. So I wasn't just like quit cold turkey.
Yeah.
But it was that 1 day a week that I was in the salon doing nails. I was so scared to cut the ties. And I kept going back and forth. I almost decided not to out of fear. No, like I'm going to stay here. Because I had this idea that people, maybe like my employees would look at me differently. But I decided to follow through with it, step back from doing nails. And I have seen a huge expansion with not only the culture, but my manager she went from like a 10 to a 12 really, really quickly because she didn't see me anymore. So she stepped up to the plate. Our communication is also so much better because we're talking a lot more and we have a weekly meeting and I'm a lot more driven to drive my team as a whole because I see them from a different view. I don't see them as a nail tech anymore. Yeah, the salon has been booming ever since. We've hired more people and I have more nail technicians now than I ever have before.
I think that's it. I think it's one of the most important lessons out of, even this entire interview is, a lot of business owners and even some salons, that I know, is you've got the owners working in their salons, hands-on. Now, by taking a step back and saying, well, let me manage the company, let me manage the strategy, let me see how are we going to grow, etc. Instead of working in the salons and that, you could actually grow exponentially faster, than you ever would actually staying within that business. And I think your story is one of those that just proves the fact that that is what it is at the end of the day. Let's talk about family. I mean, in the beginning, you said, your family was, kind of disappointed with you when you got kicked out of high school and stuff.
Mhm.
So now your family looks at you. What are they saying?
They literally say like, wow, and we were worried about you, and kind of just shake their head. They're super proud of me. They are.
That is so amazing. The lessons for other salon owners. So let's it could be entrepreneurs in general or for other salon, preferably salon owners. What are the 2 to 3, biggest lessons that you've actually learned on your journey to building this, basically 6-7 figure business that you're busy with?
I think the biggest lessons for salon owners to understand and to follow through in their company is, sticking with specific guidelines and understanding like why you do things in your salon and following through with that. People like to see their leaders follow through. I think that's a great lesson. And another lesson would definitely be to hire for the culture that you want to create.
I like that one. Definitely. That's one I'll definitely agree with. What do you wish you knew before you started the salon? If you could say, I can go back in time and I could start this again, but there's only one piece of knowledge that I could take with. What would that be that you could tell your younger self? What is that?
I think that back then I didn't have a good relationship with my business's numbers, and that's not a good thing. So if I could tell anyone who's starting a business, you have to pay attention to your numbers all of the time, get to know your numbers and build a relationship with them.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's also a big gap in the market. A lot of entrepreneurs start the business, they're operationally really, really good with it. But when it comes to understanding the numbers, etc., and how important they are, showing the business health, at the end of the day.
Right. And yeah, or get the right help. I also was, I wasn't asking for help when I started the business. I ask for a lot more help now and it pays off. But if you don't understand numbers or that confuses you, then hire the right person to be on your team, as an accountant and talk you through that.
So, we're talking about asking for help. Have you used a mentor or a coach or, someone that has assisted you and guided you that's outside of your business?
Yes, I hired a business coach about 2 years into my business, and we worked together for about a year and a half. And I saw a lot of growth at that point. A business coach
is definitely beneficial at the end of the day. Do you think that it's a requirement for entrepreneurs that are starting out, or even, existing entrepreneurs that are trying to grow their businesses, that they get a mentor or a coach to actually help them or not? What's your view on that?
Yeah, I would love to say that it should be a requirement because entrepreneurship is so lonely to do it by yourself.
Yes, that's so true. It's the loneliest journey ever.
It's the loneliest journey. So not only do you have a coach, but you have someone cheering you on and keeping you accountable as well. You just started a role where you're your own boss and no one's telling you what to do or, how to keep up with what you want to, what you should be doing.
So, would you say that success comes faster as an entrepreneur, or is it the long road? You've had quite a lot of success in only a couple of years, but would you say that success comes faster as an entrepreneur, or you think it's a long haul?
I think it's a long haul because it depends how you, mark your success. But for me, it's definitely the long haul.
You think of people's expectations of success, are unrealistic? Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs out there, I get a lot of these kind of questions where they say, so I'm forecasting that I'm going to be doing about $1 million, $2 million turnover within the next 12 months, kind of thing. And they're just starting out. Do you think that, setting those extremely high expectations, is realistic or not? Or would you say like kind of come down, you know?
I don't know. There's definitely no right answer to this because
No, there isn't, because I mean, it's more an opinion at the end of the day, because I mean, you could have, I always say to people, you could have the really high goal. So if you got 2 million, cool, but then go break that down, break that goal down into objectives, into tasks, and then look at yourself again and say, have I been realistic? Because to achieve that, I need to do these 400 or 500 things. Can you do that in the time period you've allowed? If yes, great, go for it. If not, manage expectation, you know?
yeah, I mean, you've said it right. I'm a short-term goal kind of girl, so I like to have, little wins that will slowly add up to a big one. But if I was to, go into opening up something saying I'm going to make $1 million in the first year, I wouldn't want to be let down. Entrepreneurship's not a place to be let down. You got to get those little wins to carry you through.
100%. And I think, a lot of entrepreneurs need to set those, it's like set it for the first $1,000, then $5,000, then $10,000, $25,000, $50,000, $100,000. Do it in increments, because each time you hit that, you celebrate. You've achieved the goal. Whereas if you set your very first goal as like $1 million, it's like, that's hard, to get that first $1 million. After that, it gets quite easy. But that first one is really, really hard at the end of the day. So let's talk about what's next. I mean, where to for you? I mean, you've got the salon business that's obviously growing and expanding. I'm assuming that you're going to be opening up a whole bunch more salons, and that the spa, I'm assuming that's going to grow and expand as well. And you've got your online courses, and you're teaching people, and you're mentoring other salon owners. What's next for you and your business? I mean, what's that goal out there? Because this is quite big as it is, right? It's like you've achieved so much. Where are you going?
I know it's a little bit hard for me to see past the course, because I'm still in the grind mode. I'm still in the, I haven't picked my head up for the past few months, and I have nothing to show for it yet. So whenever you are behind the scenes where no one can see you, it's a little bit tough to like peek your head through the window and see where you're going to go. But geez, I'm not sure. I mean, I would just really love to be able to put an impact on so many salon owners that I just kind of like start a tribe with them.
I love that. I love that. You start a movement, eh?
Yeah.
Salon movement, or curly girl movement, or something along those lines, right? Some nail movement. So there you go. I love that. So, I mean, before we talk about exit strategy and closing off on that, let's talk about mindset quickly. How important is mindset for you? I mean, do you do meditation? Or, I mean, meditation could be anything, whether it's sport or actually meditating, or, exercise, or do you do that? Do you follow those rituals?
Yes, I exercise every day. Fast paced though. So I can't sit with my eyes closed. I've tried to meditate and I can't. So I do CrossFit, and I really enjoy the high intensity, fast paced exercise. I like working out in a group. I think it's fun. I'm competitive. I'm extremely competitive, actually. So you'll find me competing in almost everything I do.
Oh, fantastic. I love that. So, I mean, getting your mind right has obviously played a big role in that. And obviously the exercise is what helps you to actually chill out. Because, I mean, let's face it, when we get bogged down in our courses and that, what's that one thing that we can go and do that clears up the mind and offers us solutions? For some it's meditating, for you it's CrossFit, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I love it.
Do you have an exit strategy for Manicure? Because it doesn't sound like it. It kind of seems like you're taking this national as well.
Yeah, because, since my course truly can teach anyone to open a salon, and it doesn't have to be a nail salon, hair salon, it can be any sort of salon. I give you all of the processes and placements and documents and calculators. I give you everything you need to really just flip on a switch and run the salon that way, that, it could potentially be a franchise in itself.
Oh, I love that. So what can you leave with the people that are watching this now, and all the viewers that are going to watch the replay of this video? What's, those one or two things that you want to leave with it to say, listen, yeah, you can do this too.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you're able to talk to me and 15 other entrepreneurs and learn about our trials and tribulations, because I'm sure a lot of people can relate to it. We all didn't start with $1 million in our pocket, and this does not come easy to a lot of us. So you can definitely do it too.
I love that. Because I mean, the whole purpose of these interviews is to actually bring people that have come from nothing and actually built success, on their terms, and to inspire other people that are watching to say, hell yeah, I can be like Kate. I can do that too. Why the hell not? Because a lot of people think that, they hit a hurdle or they hit some failure or some setback or something. They think, oh, this is the end. And they don't understand that, no, that's just a stepping stone. I mean, Kate's been through it, Every other person that I've interviewed has been through like some extreme things, and yet they've always come out on top. And I think the biggest lesson out of all of that, from when, I listen to your story and I listen to their stories and that, I would say perseverance. If I had to pick a word, I think perseverance is kind of like the big determining factor there at the end of the day, So, Kate, listen, yeah, it was lovely having you on. Lovely chatting to you as always. Guys, if you're interested in following Kate or connecting with Kate or looking at her offer and her courses and stuff, please log into our membership area. You can go and browse down to Kate. You can check all her Facebook, Instagram, all of the different ways that you can connect with her on email and that, as well as Kate's also actually got a bonus that we're going to throw in as well, which if you're interested in. Kate, do you want to quickly tell us about the bonus? Give us a quick.
Yeah. So whenever you ask me, about what I do and who would be listening, I understand that not everyone is going to be salon owners, right?
Yes.
I have a passion for helping salon owners, but at the end of the day, I sat down with my team and I thought about, what were some of my biggest headaches and how can I help the listeners who are going to be listening with us today. So I figured my biggest headache has always been social media. And
oh heavens, yes.
Even though I'm a millennial, I swear to God, I still can't even keep up with the trends, nor do I really want to. I don't really enjoy putting my face on camera a lot, and figuring out what to post and when to post and how to post kind of just always gave me headaches where I would decide just not to do it. So I hired a team to control my social media, and it's extremely easy. All they do is they ask me 7 questions a week. I answer the questions, and they're pretty detailed questions. They turn the questions into content. They make my posts for me and they post them. So I talk to them. We can take about 20 people max, and for $197 a month, we can do all of your social media for you. So
that's everyday posting over an entire month. I mean, that's extremely cheap.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I had to twist their arms to get it for $197, but
so, I mean, that's they're doing the designs as well. That's not just the posting; they're doing the designs and everything as well.
Yeah. So all you do is you answer
amazing.
those 7 questions. We make the content out of it. If you feel more comfortable, you can post the content, or we can do that for you as well. It can be extremely hands-off if you want it to be.
Awesome. So guys, for those of you watching, those of you who are going to watch a replay, remember, if you are interested in that, just scroll down to the bonus section in the membership area. You'll see Kate's offer there along with a whole lot of other offers. Look at Kate's offer. If you're interested, I think it's a really awesome deal. I mean, it's something that even I would use, So go ahead, go and click it, and let Kate help you out on that. Kate, thank you so much. It was awesome having you on board and listening to your story. Has anyone got any questions? Anyone that's online? We've only got a few people online, and we've got a few people on the live as well. Let's see if there's any questions on the live. Not seeing any questions. So Kate, thank you very much, and we'll chat again soon.
Thank you for having me. See ya.
Awesome. Cheers. Bye.